Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Gaming Shogun TV. This time we're going to take a look at Techland's Dying Light 2. Now, we had a chance to go back behind closed doors and see Dying Light 2 up close and personal last week. And I got to tell you, it was a pretty cool experience. To start with, once you actually got to their off-the-floor meeting room, you had to go through kind of a mini haunted house to get to the actual presentation area. You walk down this, we walked down this very claustrophobic corridor where these two infected people were kind of like just standing in the corner and, twitching like they do sometimes in the game. And eventually somebody made a noise and they jumped to action and tried to scare us into the presentation area, which worked. They were really scary. And then the developers had to turn on some UV light to kind of push them away so we can get on with the game demo. I actually have a picture of one of the infected people. Now, this was taken once they were done with their meetings and then they came onto the show floor, so the lighting is really bright here. Imagine this in much darker lighting conditions. So as you can see, he's pretty scary looking, and there were a couple of them, so it was kind of cool. So in case you don't know anything about Dying Light 2, or you didn't see anything on it so far, basically the game is a semi-open world zombie survival action role-playing game. It's a lot of things going on there, but it's set 15 years after the events of the first game, and basically the infection has spread across the globe. Humankind has been plunged into what the developers are calling a modern dark age, and everything's pretty crappy. So the demo started, and basically the developers gave us a rundown of what was going on. We had been given a task by one of the game's many factions, known as the Peacekeepers, and based on the color of their armor pieces and the kind of tack helmets they wear, they kind of look like they're the remnants or the evolution of whatever happened to the United Nations, the UN Peacekeepers. But I don't know that for sure. Don't quote me on that. That's just my guess. Anyhow, we were given a task by them to go and take control of a water tower, which had been taken by some outlaws that are now kind of just holding up there and planning to sell the water to whoever wants to pay. So after that, our developers started the game, started running across light posts from post to post, jumping onto vehicles, jumping up and around and kind of parkouring around the side of walls, sliding down big banners on the side of buildings, ruined buildings, like with his knife, kind of like in the old swashbuckler films. It was pretty cool. The movement seems to be enhanced quite a bit. Not that the movement in Dying Light was bad by any means, but this seems like it's a lot more effortless. You don't really seem to have to think about it. It just kind of will happen as you go. There was even a scene in the demo where the developer's character jumped off of a building, landed in a tree, and I don't know if he had to click a button to do this or if it just automatically does, but the character grabbed onto a branch and just kind of hung in there for a couple seconds until the branch broke, and at least he hit the ground hard, took some damage, but the branch kind of broke his fall, which, he still lived, so that was good. One of the cool moments from the demo that we saw was when the developer tried to sneak around some bandits that he encountered. He crouched down and kind of slid his way into a gutted department store. And inside the store, it was very reminiscent of I Am Legend, Will Smith's I Am Legend, where when he goes into the dark spaces and all the infected are standing really close together and kind of just like twitching, and it's kind of like they're sleeping, I guess. And it was kind of the same thing in this. And there were just a ton of them in this very small little store. And the developer had to kind of sneak around it. And he ended up making some noise and startling the nest of them. And they all just went crazy and started attacking him. And then he jumps out of a window. And I'm going to start playing some video here. And that kind of, this actually picks up right when he jumps out of that window. So here's that moment. He jumps out the window. Starts doing his parkour along the light post and on the side of the building here. This is pretty much how it looked in the demo that we saw. So this isn't like a CGI'd smoke and mirrors kind of cinematic or anything like that. This is actual gameplay. And there's the place where he's trying to go, the water tower. And here's that cool moment where he swings along the rope, hits the banner, and slides down it with his knife. And now we're talking, Chris Avallone has actually been hired by Techland to be one of their, I guess their lead narrative designer for the game. He's writing the story. And if you don't know who Chris Avallone is, he's a legend. Was a designer on Fallout 2, lead designer and writer on Planescape Torment. He was even the lead designer on Project Van Buren, which, for those of you who don't know what that is, that was basically going to be Fallout 3 before Interplay folded and Bethesda eventually bought the rights to make the game. But a lot of those concepts ended up in Fallout New Vegas, but I digress. Anyhow, what we just saw here was the player character kicking the bandits out of the water tower and kind of surveying the town now that the peacekeepers have moved into it. And that's a big thing in this game. Is the whole game takes place around sort of the last European vestige of humanity in this big city. And one of the big concepts of the game is player choice in how you are going to help shape the development of the city. So in this particular look right here, we're seeing the peacekeepers in blue. They provide free water for the populace, which is good for you because you get healed by that. But they also kind of inflict martial law. Now you see it where you make friends with the outlaws in the water tower, and we kind of see the ramifications of that. The city is much more run down. Water is no longer free. Everyone has to pay for it. However, the benefit to you is that because you've allied yourself with these bandits, they will give you a cut of anything the townsfolk give them as far as paying for the water. So the choice is really yours in how you're going to proceed. They did say there were going to be some multiplayer surprises in store for us. They wouldn't quite say what, but we know it's going to happen. I did read something earlier today that they did claim that there will not be a battle royale mode, which is good because I think battle royale is fun, but everything can't be battle royale these days. The other thing that the two developers had mentioned was that Dying Light 2 is going to be somewhere on the order of 4 times bigger than the area in Dying Light and its DLCs. So that should be a really good large space to play around in. They called that area kind of the whole concept to be a narrative sandbox where you generate your own content by picking up quests and stories as you just explore and make choices. The other thing that I was hoping to see more of, and they did say that they had it, if you go back to their earlier game like Dead Island, they had a really cool combat melee mode where you can kind of control the swing of your weapon, and that was really helpful when you were trying to hit zombies in the head or in unarmored areas, etc. Dying Light had a similar kind of thing, and now I guess Dying Light 2, from what they tell me, is going to have an even more enhanced tactical combat mode. You can just go with the standard, heavy, light attack, swing, that kind of thing, or you can, to some extent, do what we did earlier, where you control the swing each time. And they wouldn't show that. I don't know if it's just not ready, or they're obviously just not ready to talk about it. But that sounds really cool, and I'd like to see more of that if we get the chance. Well, I hope you enjoyed our thoughts on Dying Light 2 based on our experiences last week. There is no definitive release date for the game, so I can't give you that, although I can say it's looking fantastic, and I hope it gets done soon because I actually want to play it. If you like the video, go ahead and click like or subscribe. We really appreciate it. You can find our social media links below on your screen right now, and you can also find our website, gamingshogun.com. That's where we post most of our article content. Hope you can check it out. See you next time.